What's going on, Sooner Nation? Happy Tuesday. Hope you all had a fantastic Monday, especially if you had the day off and you got an extra long weekend due to MLK Day. Hope you guys celebrated the right way. Watched the national championship, celebrated if you're an Ohio State fan for some reason watching this channel. Because that was definitely the biggest event that happened on Monday. There couldn't have been any bigger event in this country other than the national championship on Monday. Everybody's eyes were glued in right there. So, all right. We got to talk about some recruiting today here in the 2026 class. We've talked a ton about the defensive coordinator hired for Oklahoma, who it could potentially be. And we've got a video queued up for that, for when that happens. So make sure you guys are tuned in, locked in here. But today we got to talk about some comments that were made about a 2026 target for Oklahoma. One that another recruit is peer recruiting here, and a potential 5-star wide receiver that we haven't talked about on this channel that maybe we need to keep our eyes on, and I'll tell you guys where we're connecting the dots there. So make sure you join the discussion, jump in the comments below, give me your thoughts, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you wipe your feet, hit that like, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be talking about everything that's going on in recruiting all year long. Not to mention, this channel's free to watch, right? So hit the subscribe button, help us out. Free content to y'all. It helps me out a lot. Sorry for not putting anything out on Monday. Usually we try to put something out every day. We had to put the wife's dog down. So we just kind of spent some time with the baby Griffin, and then also, kind of took care of her. Because it's just, it was a hard day for them. It was a hard day for them. It was 18 years, and I think I've known Kaylee since 2017, so I've known the dog for 8 years. It was a long time, but so hopefully everything continues to go well there. But yeah, let's talk about recruiting. So Jaden O'Neal talking to Steve Wiltfong. Of course, you guys know this is prime camp season. Some of these 2026 targets traveling all over the country, showing off their skill set, showing these evaluators on these recruiting sites what they got, right? Trying to move up in the recruiting rankings. Jaden O'Neal out there talking to Steve Wiltfong, kind of talking about, guys, he's peer recruiting. We've asked him this question plenty of times here on the podcast, most recently in our last interview. And there were a couple names on there, Caden Jones, some of the in-state guys. And one of the names, Mason James, that was brought up again today with Steve Wiltfong, and was brought up in a way, in the sense of urgency, of saying this might be one of the top targets that we're coming to bring to Oklahoma. So if you're not familiar with Mason James and you're an Oklahoma fan, it's like, okay, you might be living under a rock here. But Mason James recruitment is going to be very interesting if you're an Oklahoma fan. Emmett Jones was out at his house this weekend, it looked like, to visit Mason James. And interesting there to see the two together once again. You would imagine Emmett Jones and Mason James get a lot of FaceTime. When you dive into Mason James recruitment, got total of 23 total offers, which stacks up with some of the more elite wide receivers in this class as well. And he's got really good offers as well, like the Alabamas, the Tennessees, the Miamis, Michigan. He's even got K-State in there, which I'm curious to see with Matt Wells out there at Kansas State, how much their offense continues to progress in the air raid style. You got Oklahoma State, Oregon, Penn State, A&M, Washington. So it's interesting to see some of the offers that Mason James has, but also understanding a little bit about his recruitment, some of the schools that are really pushing for him, specifically Alabama. They could be a potential school that causes Oklahoma some problems on the recruiting trail, because it seems like they have a good relationship with Mason James, and I know they're pushing really hard. And so Alabama, you look at Tennessee. Obviously, Josh Heupel played here at Oklahoma, won a national championship, knows that Oklahoma, unlike what some people think, Oklahoma can produce talent. And so you'd imagine Josh Heupel in Tennessee might sniff around a little bit harder now that we're entering the 26 cycle. He's been to Michigan a couple times. Sharon Moore, another Oklahoma guy that played here, understands the talent that comes from the state. Imagine he would start to push a little bit more, especially with a guy like Bryce Underwood in your back pocket. A lot of wide receivers are going to want to play for him. Interesting, though, to hear a guy like Jaden O'Neal, who you're seeing some clips of that I took at the Brent Venables football camp. Excuse my poor videography here because, yeah, I don't have a video camera. So all this is kind of on an iPhone. And two, I just have no skills in it. So maybe we'll improve that this year. But no, Jaden O'Neal kind of falls into, in my opinion, that elite quarterback category, like we're talking about with Bryce Underwood up there at Michigan, right? Where a lot of wide receivers are going to want to play for him. I think as you see this recruiting cycle go on, you're going to want to see more quarterbacks play with Jaden O'Neal as well. And a guy like Mason James potentially being one of his top targets really aligns with what Brent Venables and the staff's priorities are, because we've seen them prioritize some of the best talent in state. And so seeing, the third quarterback commit, kind of prioritize the same thing, that's good news. So you have to ask yourself, is Oklahoma starting to close in on a 2026 target at wide receiver? I did get a chance to catch up with Mason James, and, we have the junior days coming up. And I did ask Mason James, hey, like, do you have any visits scheduled anywhere else outside of Oklahoma? Like, what's going on there? And he plans on being on campus on January 25th for that junior day that Oklahoma is going to be hosting. So you're just tune in there, see what's going to happen. I don't expect to see Mason James commit before the summer. That's not to say it doesn't happen, but I would imagine Mason James is going to want to take all of those visits, especially to places like Alabama and Tennessee, and kind of just see what those schools have to offer. So we'll have to kind of keep our eyes peeled there on the Mason James recruitment. But one of the 5-star wide receivers that we haven't talked about in this class that I really think maybe as an Oklahoma fan, we should pay attention to. It's a guy that I think Oklahoma would get involved here if, you saw Jaden O'Neal kind of really maybe press the keys, and kind of where I started to kind of ask questions if this would be a target that Jaden would go after. And I haven't talked to Jaden about it yet, but it's Tristan Keys, the 6'2", 175-pound wide receiver out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Not by any means saying Oklahoma's got a shot here. I don't even think he has an Oklahoma offer last time I checked. He's got 23 total offers. Alabama, A&M, Tennessee, Auburn, all the elite schools. I don't think he has an Oklahoma offer yet. But this is a guy where he's got size, he's got speed. He's a top 10 player in the country. So you'd imagine, you're going to have to bring out the checkbook for a guy like this. But again, Jaden O'Neal is going to attract top-tier talent. He was in the comment section of his post asking him about OU. I kind of watch this stuff. I like to see who the players on the recruiting trail are interacting with. I think that kind of tells you a lot about relationships and kind of where maybe a quarterback's head's at with guys that they want to be able to get in this class to kind of help build that foundation with them. So just a name to potentially keep your eye on. Obviously, I think Davian Gross is still the 5-star wide receiver, athlete that Oklahoma is going to pursue. He's going to end up playing wide receiver out of Frisco, out of Lone Star High School. So that's probably the more likely one to happen. But I want to hear from y'all. So make sure you guys join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. And if you guys have not already, make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button. Help keep the channel free. But yeah, see y'all next time.